Welcome back, troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we're taking a look at a 2017 Gibson Gary Clark Jr. Signature SG. So who is this Gary Clark Jr. guy anyways? Well, he's a musician from Austin, Texas. He first started playing at 12 and he was born on February 15th of 1984. Being from Austin, Texas, my name being Austin, his birth date is very close to mine. It's a little bit freaky. But he's basically a guy who does a fusion of rock, blues, and soul. He's played alongside people like Eric Clapton, B.B. King, and the Rolling Stones on stage. And he's even recently worked with people like the Foo Fighters with Dave Grohl and even Tom Morello. However, recently, in 2017, he's really become famous for a cover he did of the Beatles song, Come Together. But, if you don't care about Gary Clark Jr., why should you care about this guitar? When I first saw these things get released, I loved them, and I'm thankful that Gary designed something so cool. The biggest features of this guitar are namely the 3 P90s, and it is a 24 fret 2 octave scale. Most SGs will only have 22 frets, but there's some things like the Zoot Suit SGs and other limited edition runs that do run the full 2 octaves. Other than that, this is just an SG standard basically, but with P90 pickups. They're priced brand new at $14.99, which is the same price as a regular SG standard, except you get a case. And these have a faux ABR-1 bridge. Now I say faux, meaning fake, because this is not actually a real ABR-1 setup. Notice there's studs in the body, so this is on some sort of conversion post, which I feel is slightly false advertising because an ABR-1 bridge is meant to be directly drilled into the top. These were offered in 2 finishes, Vintage Cherry, which I think looks pretty cool with the wood grain, and then the more popular Gloss Yellow. Don't confuse this with TV Yellow. I see so many people get confused. TV in a finish's name means you can see through the finish and see the wood grain. So this one is Gloss Yellow because you cannot see the wood grain. If this was TV Yellow, it would be even more popular. But there's a little bit of drama going on with this particular finish. It is nearly impossible to find them without finish checking. I purchased this exact model because it was advertised as not having finish checking. Now, whether the seller missed it or if it just happened in shipping, which is most likely the case, this example is no longer an exception. We also learned this in the unboxing video, but it has these finish check lines along the neck in the common break area. I later found that there's finish cracking by the neck heel, which is also kind of common on SGs, usually when they get older. So I'm not really 100% sure if this one is just in the finish or not, because the neck angle almost seems off for this guitar. So either Gibson built it wrong, or we do have some damage with this one, because look how high the action is. I mean, it's not crazy high, it's definitely playable, it's just a little bit uncomfortable. But look at how the bridge is set. It is completely decked on the bass side, and you only have a little bit of room for downward adjustment on the treble side. So where do you go once the bridge has no more room? Short of ripping out those studs, filling them, and drilling for a proper ABR-1 to get a little bit more room, that means it's neck reset time, unfortunately. Since this finish seemed to have a lot of issues, Gibson discontinued this color earlier than the ending of the series. Ever since then, the price of used gloss yellow ones have skyrocketed to crazy asking prices. Some of them even quickly sold for nearly double what they were worth new. This finish will always be the most collectible if you don't have finish checking on it. But I figure while we have it, we might as well take a look. Since it's not my guitar, out of respect for the seller, I am not going to tear this one apart. But I will go ahead and throw it on the bench to get some technical specs. Alright, so here on the workbench, the bridge position reads out 7.39 k ohms. Middle position in the circuit is a 3.74, and the neck position is a 3.76. Gibson calls these the P90S T, M, and R for rhythm, treble, and middle. Here's a better close-up of the studs that they are using with this ABR-1 Bridge. Again, I think it's a real shame that they're doing that, but I remember hearing some complaints on forums about Gibson using posts with USA ABR-1s. I would bet that that tailpiece says advanced plating underneath it. These have the 61 SG styled pickguard, which is just the small wing, except for you don't have that tenon cover because, hey, you got a pickup right there now. You have your top hat reflector knobs right here, and what's interesting is it appears this is wired as 3 independent volumes and a master tone. So I think what that means here is you can actually blend all these pickups in a different variation. So we'll have to dive into that a little bit more in the playing demo. These are a mahogany body with a rosewood fretboard that once again is 24 frets. You can take a closer look up here to see how they did with doing it. Sometimes they kind of chew up the binding a little bit, but this one's looking pretty nice. Face of the headstock has a blank truss rod cover, the Gibson crown and Gibson mother of pearl logo. Now you're going to notice that this has Cluson type tuners on it. It originally had Grovers, but we'll see that on the back. With the back control cavity plate cover off, you can see this wiring is interesting. All 3 pickups are connected to that pot, which is then connected to the 3-way switch, and then you've got all these other good things with the nice large orange drop cap there. This is one messy cavity route though. I feel like they should have cleaned that up a little bit. You can see a bunch of dull router bit splinterings here. But other than that, you can find the large Gibson strap buttons. You've got a nice slim neck profile on these. We'll measure that here in a second. And here's these replaced Cluson Deluxe tuners. If you look right there, you see that impression? That's from the original Grovers. So you can just barely tell that they originally had those. And here you can see it has a Made in USA stamp and this style of serial number. Despite having 24 frets, it is still a traditional 24 3/4 inch scale. It features a traditional 1.69 inch nut width, and at the 12th fret a 2.09 inch width. At the first fret it has a depth of 0.85 inches, and at the 12th fret it's 0.9 inches. So it's a very thin neck and wide feeling. And lastly, it's very lightweight at 5 pounds 15.1 ounces. This is not the original Gibson case for this one. It's actually an aftermarket Gibson gear, but I did want to cover the case candy that these guitars come with. You have the Gibson warranty pamphlet, as well as the owner's manual, a polishing cloth, one of the Gibson multi-tools that I did a separate review on, your inspected by checklist, and a baby photo, which further proves that this guitar originally had Grover tuners on it. There's also a Gibson strap. Now that we know about this guitar, let's go ahead and hear a brief sound demo. Okay, so this guitar is a little bit different in the way that it's wired. As we discovered earlier, it has 3 volume controls and a master tone. So if you roll off your blending knob of your middle pickup, this is just a normal SG. So your neck pickup will sound like this. Middle position will be your bridge and middle, and it'll sound like this. And then your bridge position is supposed to work, but there's something funky with this one where it doesn't work unless your middle pickup is on. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so I'm not sure what happened to this guitar. So unfortunately, I can't demo just the bridge pickup for you. But I can illustrate for you what it's like to blend in the middle pickup with the neck position. So remember, neck was like this. You go halfway with the middle. Now we'll go all the way. You can hear how it kind of gets spankier. So it kind of gets stratty in a way. So that's a really nice feature right there. And same thing with the middle position, which would be the bridge pickup and the neck pickup. You can blend that third one in to basically be all pickups on. So that'll sound like this. Put it back in. So overall, I don't think this is a very good review of this guitar. I think there's something wrong with the electronics of this one. I think the neck angle's wrong. It's very fret buzzy. So maybe one day we'll try to re-review the red one of these. But at least now we know a little bit about what the Gary Clark SG is about. Thank you, troglodytes, for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with a friend who would enjoy it. And we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.